I'll just like to add one point here,
Go
that my general point in life usually, and this is what we always have debates about. So to give you some
on.
context, but only one sentence, and then we shall move on, is that I always say that women have a wider range of emotions and as a result are more emotionally intelligent than men. Men and women are
Agreed.
equal,
Agreed.
but I think women have a larger scope for dealing with certain situations, well, a lot of situations, because they've got that wider range. I don't think men have it. I think they're very black and white most of the time.
Hmm.
Um, and that's that. And I think
I
that
think
gives,
this. I think the scale is wider, which means not only there's one side to the capability to deal with chaos, right? So that's one thing you're saying, but I think it's also the variety of emotions that a woman can feel. Where to a man sometimes it's like, well, why are you feeling like that?
yes,
Whereas I don't know, let's give it arbitrary numbers. A man might have 10 emotions, but you guys have 50. Or like colors, like colors are a perfect example. You'll ask a man what color is this and say it's pink, and then you'll say no, it's cerise, or it's hot pink, or it's baby pink. Like you have and your emotions, I think, have these subset of emotions or nested emotions. Whereas are just like, look, are you happy or are you sad? Like just keep it simple, man. But I don't see that as a flaw. I
this is
think that
why
allows me to look through certain situations a little bit more. Because one of your things, Jazz, is that you let things ruminate, don't you? You think and think and think about things until there's no more thinking to be done. But before that point, you'll then share it with me because you need to vent it off. Um,
analyzing, speaking, and sharing
analyzing.
your thoughts is a very
Mm,
good thing. I think part of the
absolutely.
reason we see so much um, so many issues with mental health is, again, not an expert, but people don't have the ability or the chance to voice their concerns and share how
Mm,
they're feeling. Especially, I mean, I was thinking about this during the pandemic. We are lucky, and I think a lot of Indian families, or maybe just ethnic minority families who live together,
mm,
are so lucky that in this pandemic we have had each other. Yes, certain times you want to pull each other's hair out because that's all you have.
mm.
But at least we are not stuck living alone in a city or otherwise, and having to just deal with ourselves because that's so difficult. How do you analyze and how do you self reflect all the time? It's so hard.
You need feedback, isn't it? This all comes back to sort of touch points, and obviously our behavior will change based on the people around. Now, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but in a good way, at least it allows you to check yourself. That's what we're saying. Whereas some people, like right in the pandemic, have lived in what could be like solitary confinement, like in a prison.
Like,
Whereas you so imagine this. Like I've got elderly patients that come in, right, and as part of when we speak to them about when they first come in and we find out why they're here, it's the social setup. So who do you live with? Oh, I live alone. Okay, and so then we ask them how do you do things like shopping, food, cooking. They may have some carers even on the best package. When I say package, I mean NHS funded package. It might be 4 calls a day. That means 4 people coming, but this period of time they actually come for maybe about 30 minutes, right? And then throw in that a lot of these people, so in the absence of having some company and the absence of being fit enough to leave the house or being told to shield,
mhm.
that they watch the news, right? So I get a lot of people who just constantly on this kind of high alert mental state where it's like, oh my God, COVID's going to get me. So you're watching this stuff all day. You think it's going to hurt you. You're inside. You have no one to speak to. And you're right. So you're in the prison of your mind essentially, and your thoughts just escalate, escalate, escalate.
It's consume.
Uh,
It's
yeah, it is all consuming. Yeah.
it is, and it's just not healthy. So I mean, a similar example in terms of context. I was
Mm,
thinking about people who live, a classic example in London or cities like that, where
mm,
they're room sharing or they have a studio apartment, and most of the time people don't have gardens. Obviously, if you have an apartment, if you're lucky, maybe shared
mm,
communal garden. But even then, I know in London some communal gardens were shut. Obviously, because of the risk of COVID. And that is so horrible. Like, I remember watching the news last year when it was hitting Italy really bad, and you saw these kind of
high
towers,
rise.
yeah,
Mm,
high-rise towers, and people just kind of leaning outside their balconies about this big, like I don't even know the square foot, but it's very small, and that's all the fresh air they have. That is
mm.
that is scary to think you can be a prisoner in your own home. That's scary. At first,
Yeah,
I thought the whole pandemic was not
nice. Yeah,
like
no. I think the
exciting.
perception was, oh, I can work from home.
Yes,
Oh, I'm at home. I'm at home. I'm at home. And then it
that's
just
it.
quickly became,
It
this
was,
is not sustainable.
yeah. it's not sustainable. It's very
Mm.
odd. You go into, it was one person in a supermarket at times. It was, you can't go to the cinema. You can't have people sit in your car when restaurants were closed, when takeaways were closed, McDonald's was closed. I mean, that was like, that
The
was,
peak.
that was the
the,
peak.
the
They closed
McDonald's was closed.
McDonald's. Who would have thought the day would come? And it was something that you couldn't have predicted. And I did find it very interesting at the start because it was a crisis. It was chaos. It was, we didn't know what was going on.
Mm.
You had to be alert and you had to think, how are we going to get through this? But then slowly, like you were describing with watching the news, I hated watching the news around Christmas, January, when that third lockdown came. I was finding
Mm.
it so depressing, thinking, when is this going to end?